Hello world, welcome to Finding Focus, a channel where we build a video game from scratch using Love 2D and Lua. Now, if you've always wanted to make a game and don't know where to start, join me on my journey. I'm a beginner programmer, but I'll be talking through my code line by line as I go. So today's going to be a big day. We're going to be doing a entity system implementation so that we can have multiple characters ultimately. It's gonna be very difficult, but we've got a little cheat sheet of Game Dev CS50 from Harvard. They've got a game that we're gonna be mimicking our entity system after. So the first step of today is gonna be to remove all of our Kvoth logic here, and to then re-implement in entity systems and then test it by getting Kvoth back and then getting all the stuff. So like there's a couple different things we'll have to add back. You know, we've got the normalization vector for our diagonal movements we'll have to re-implement. We've got multiple input handling so that we don't animate while we're walking. We've got all the animations and we've got it all that stuff will now have to be handled by the entity system, so it's going to be a little tricky. Now I want to see, it doesn't look like chat is appearing on... doesn't look like chat is appearing on here. Let me try to get that fixed here. I should have our chat room here. That doesn't look like it's it, huh? Let me see. Okay, it just needed to reload, I guess. Okay, we've got it. Okay, cool. So today, I don't know, it's gonna be a couple hours, I think. It's gonna be more of a grueling session than a fun, chill pixel session, so let's just go ahead and get started. I do want to show off one thing I did fix from yesterday. And you know what, before I get too far into it, I'm going to shift our keylogger down just like a frame or so, because it doesn't look so great where it is. We've got this keylogger offset. It should be a Y offset, actually. Let me see if that fixes it. Yeah, okay. Maybe 1 pixel difference here. 16. That's a Y pixel offset, not an X pixel offset. Let's go ahead and just fix that before we go crazy. But yesterday, the last thing I implemented, it was actually off stream because I couldn't focus because I didn't want it. I didn't want to leave it as it was. What I ended up doing was we weren't rendering the animation sprites upon a transition like that. So what I went ahead and did is in my map declarations here, I went ahead and just made sure to put the first frame of the animated sprite in the correct location so that by the time it initiates that transition, it has the first frame already of the animation. So that smoothed out that problem and we don't have to worry about that anymore. Because that gets our fix across. So I do want to see where we call that keylogger. Yeah, see, this keylogger should be Y offset, not X offset. So we're going to go ahead and change that. Keylogger X, and we're going to replace it with keylogger Y. Okay. And then just in case, we'll do it globally, and then we have to write this out, go to our constants. We'll just make this a Y offset instead of X. yeah, it's going to be a big day. It's going to be a big day. Let's just get to it. Let's check out. The first step of this is going to be to check out how CS50 did it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new TMUX session. Now it's going to be in our get/Zelda. Now, if we do a new session here, we'll say this is Zelda session. And we'll just, there is a main in here, so all we have to do is run our love dot, and here is the CS50 Zelda. So see how they're able to make a bunch of different characters, different entities. I need to turn it. That's a little loud. Let's go to our main, and you know what we'll do, I guess. We've already got a harpoon here, which is good, but we want to, whenever we play, we just don't want to be playing this door sound because I just find it annoying. So we'll see if there's any other, I don't think there is, let's see. Well, yeah. It's like I don't want really any sound to be playing. I just want to focus on what they're doing. Yeah, we'll just turn off all these sounds. That's in the room. Let's see if there's any other sounds we missed. That's looking okay. Okay. So we want to be able to basically do something like this, where we can say, hey, we have an entity system, so we can spawn X amount of entities, and each entity has a specific sprite, it has a certain AI, and it has a certain animation. And if we go ahead and do this, that means, and we could just keep our player as a player object and just worry about making an entity system, which I guess in the long-term way, that makes a decent amount of sense because we've already done it, and we've already done it for Kvoth. But I guess if we, you know what? No, we'll have to redo it because ultimately we're not even close to being done with our Kvoth entity, because our Kvoth is going to need to be able to initiate like a push sprite. It's going to have to be able to hold items, which will change its sprite. It'll have to do collision detection with the map and other entities. So if it is itself an entity, it'll make that just easier. So I think it does make sense to go ahead and redo everything. So let's just take a look at what the entity system is here in their project here. So let's start at their main and just look for anything resembling our entities. Now, the main is mainly rendering the state machine in the update function, and it's also rendering the state machine. So main is very clean. Our main isn't this clean. I like that they do it like this. Like, this is cool. So let's keep digging. So we've got a couple of things. We've got draw nums for our image sprites. We've got fonts, graphics, library, sounds, and source. So in graphics, those are all the sprites. That makes sense. Library is our push, class, and knife library. So that's all straightforward. Sounds, all our sounds, very straightforward. Now source is where everything is. So we might want to reorganize some of our stuff to be a little bit more like this, because it's so clean. We have like a classes folder that we're putting in all of our classes, but here they just have all their classes in our source folder, and then they have stuff separated by different states and the world. So world is everything they're rendering in the world, which is a room, a dungeon, and a doorway. And then state is where they put their entities. And state is also where they have a base state declaration for changing the states in your state machine. And then states is where they trigger from the title screen to the playing to the game over and the reset. So that's in game. I think ultimately we'd want to do something like this. So we probably will mirror ours, something like this. Now let's take a look in entity. They've got a player. So they've separated out their player, and then they've got an entity walk and an idle. But there should also be entity definitions, which I'm not seeing. It's right here. Okay, so then let's just continue to take a look. They've got an animation class. See, this is really smart. They've got an animation class that takes in all of the specific stuff. What the animation class does is update the frame based on, it updates the current frame based on the timer and the interval. So if not a looping animation, and we've played at least once, exit. I don't know why they do that. Okay, yeah, I don't know why they do this. If it's not a looping animation and we've played, then go ahead and exit the update. I guess that's... I don't know why they would want to do that. So let's keep in mind a self.looping and see when they would call that. But their dependencies have all the requirements here, as well as their global tables for stuff. Their entity class. See, we need an entity class like this. Okay, so let's take a look at what this entity class is. So an entity has a couple of fields. It's got a direction that it can face, that's a string. It's got a list of animations that it's using a create animations function for. So let's see if we can see where this is. And it's a table that they're going to go through all of the objects in animations, and it is going to instantiate an animation object inside this table, and that object will have a texture, a frame, and interval all set to be what is called this animation def.texture. So I don't know where they're calling that, where they're passing in that, but okay, so the entity itself has an animations field that holds a table of all the different animation objects. It's got an X, a Y, a width, a height, an offset, a walk speed, a health, an invulnerable, a flash timer, a dead. And then it's got some AABB collision that takes in a target. It's got a damage function. It's got a go invulnerable function. It is able to change states. It is able to change animations. And it updates things like its invulnerable timer, and it updates a flash timer. It updates the entity's state machine, and it also updates its current animation, and then it has a function called process AI, which you pass in params and delta time to. I'm not exactly sure where they define that. And then they have rendering. So let's see if they've defined this process AI anywhere. Entity process AI. I'm not sure where this would show up. Let me... Yeah, I guess I just don't know where this process AI would be. Because it wasn't here, right? Process AI. It wasn't here. So where would that be? We're running it on a state machine, so maybe it's in the state machine declaration somewhere. Let's see if state machine has got a process AI function. It does. But is that recursive? Like, I don't... This says, used for states that can be controlled by AI. By having this and not just bundling it, we allow ourselves to reuse states between the player and agents, rather than create a separate state for each. See how player walk state calls entity walk state update within update, for example. Let's see what that is. Player walk state. So it should be in states, game, no, entity, player walk state. In the update function is calling a change animation. It should be the state machine change here, which I don't see. Okay, I don't know what we would do with that. This is tough. This is going to be ridiculous. Okay, let's check out entity defs. Okay, so this is super easy. Okay, so this is very simple. Entity defs is a table that gets a couple different values. So like a player is going to store a walk speed. It's going to store animations by key, which all have different values. It's going to store... See, this is cool. See, this, we do want to do something like this because our game is a lot messier than this right now. So we're going to want to learn a thing or two from this. So it's setting its texture, setting its frames and interval. Now the skeleton has the same texture, but they don't set it for the player because they have either a walk or a swing sword texture. So they do it in two different tables there, or two different drawables. See, this is nice. I like that they can do this. So they've got a whole bunch of different entities. Now, where do they say spider? Well, I guess in the animation class, it's rendering. All it needs is the frames, the texture, and the interval, and then it can render. So as long as they pull off their animation class right, then I think it's totally doable to keep it that clean. So I really like that. That's looking really nice. Game objects, they have the same kind of idea like an entity where it's like it's just a bunch of different things relating to the object. They do have a generate quads and a recursive print table. Let's take a look at their animation a bit more. So yeah, it needs frames, interval, texture, looping. All it does is, if the number of frames is more than 1, go ahead and start counting. If If the timer is greater than the interval, then go ahead and set timer equal to timer moduloed by the self interval. And then that's a good way to do it. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. And then it sets its current frame. And see, what are they doing here? Math.max. So they're getting the bigger of two values. And one thing they're passing in is the current frame plus 1, moduloed by the number of frames plus 1. So what does that mean? Well, let's say they're on current frame 1. It would be 2 moduloed by the self frames plus 1. So if there's 5, it'd be 6. So if it's bigger than the amount of total frames, then we're going to set it to 1. Otherwise, set it to the current frame. Or the current frame plus 1. So that's just a fancy way of saying, yeah, set the current frame, loop the current frame, if it's ever bigger than the number of frames we've got. So that's a smart way to do it. And then if we've looped back to the beginning, record. Okay. I'm not sure why they record if the number of times played that the animation is, but they do it. And then all they do is return the self frames table at the current frame. So frames is a table. Yep, frames is a table. Now, I've never seen this where they pass in def to the animation, and then they're able to access those fields. So I want to see where they instantiate the animation class and see what exactly they're passing in as def here. So maybe in room they insert it, I don't know. Okay, we can do this smarter. We can search for an animation instantiation here. And we can see that maybe not. Maybe we have to search with just animation. Okay. Here. It's under the create animations. Okay, so the def they pass in is literally just a table. And then they're indexing into those fields. Let me clear this chat. I guess it doesn't clear. It doesn't clear for me, and that's how I'm drawing it. So, well, maybe not. It doesn't even look like it did anything. So, okay, this isn't good. Yeah, this isn't good. We want, let me fix this real quick. We're gonna, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and minimize this one, and I'm gonna add chat overlay to be set to this chat Twitch. Oh, it is jacked. Oh no. It's just... Okay. Sorry, this is the first time I've gotten this new chat going. This new chat overlay with colors and everything, so I'm just wanting to fix that before we do anything too crazy. Now, why is this like this? Oh, it's because it was shit, man. Okay. Okay, we just need to go change the crop, I guess. lordy. Okay. Okay. Then hopefully once I get this set up, we won't have to be fiddling with it. Okay. Then I want to make sure our timestamps are off. Okay. Okay. But now I can't even see chat on my screen when I'm looking. Does that get rid of it? Oh man, dude, why? Why? Okay, I'm trying to just fix chat on screen here. I'm having some issues. If we pop this out. Is that showing up? Okay. Okay. Just me in the chat anyway, so it's not that important. Now, okay, and then I guess I just have to hope that that's working. Okay. Okay, so what we're doing is we're trying to implement an entity system. So we're just trying to get a handle about how this program is doing it with all of these special guys. So I'm trying to see where they instantiate all these entities and then see what is being passed in and everything. Let's see if we can search for entity like this. We're looking for the instantiation here. Okay. So it's in a generate entities function, and they just define it. They define it as a table, so they don't instantiate with a parentheses. They just define it in the table. So they just manually assign the values, and then they insert into a table for the room of their self-entities. So their self-entities is a table for all the entities. Then they go ahead and generate those entities, which inserts and it'll do 10. So we can change this to say, you know, we can say, okay, well, we want 20 entities in our room now. Now we've got 20. Let's get crazy. Let's do 80. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so see, like this, if we turn our game into an entity system, we can do fun stuff like this, like make it easy to get killed by spiders. So that's cool. So it's pretty easy how they do this, is that they say, okay, well, we're going to have a types table that gets the different types of entities we can make. for every loop, we're going to say that type gets a random index of these types. So either a slime, skeleton, bat, ghost, or spider. So it gets a random type, and that's the type that they're generating a animation. So they're inserting an entity into the entities table, and they're assigning it an animation field, and the animation field gets whatever the entity def is at the type .animations. So what that means is, let's harpoon our entity defs. So let's just go here and we'll get our entity defs. We'll pull it so we can reference it. So for the entity defs at the key here, they give it a random type of a villain. So let's say it gets to be skeleton. Then they went into .animations, and then they said what? They said animations. So they're just assigning what's in the entity defs table at that skeleton .animations into a variable called animations. And I guess that variable is a field in the entity in the table of our entities table. So even though it's one variable, it's a local variable to the specific entity that was being instantiated here and inserted. Okay, so that makes sense. And they give it a random walk speed. Well, like either player walk speed or 20. If it doesn't have a walk speed, they assign it 20, I think is what that's doing. And then so once they populate the entity tables, and this only happens once upon the init for the room, so that kind of makes sense. And then they say, then we're going to go into those entity tables, and we're going to assign, yeah, what are they doing here? They're saying that the state machine field is going to get a state machine class with two different state machines. It's got a walk and an idle state machine, and you have to say, okay, it gets, I think this equals function return that end is just a way of saying call the entity walk state for that entity. I don't know why they have to say it like that though. But if we do a state machine change to walk, then it'll return this walk state for the given entity. So I think that makes sense. And then, oh yeah, because then they do it right here. They say change. They say change state with walk. So then it's going in here, and then it is changing the state machine to the entity walk state for our self entities. Okay, so that's just how the state machine was programmed to be able to be used. So we'll just have to play along with that. Now, we don't have objects. We will have collision detection, but that is for later to worry about. So far, we don't have too many difficult things to put into our game to mimic this. The big things are going to be, I think, how we... Because the entity defs are super easy. The animation class is pretty straightforward. But if we're in the room, or let's see if in the dungeon has any specific entity stuff going on. Okay. Maybe our play state might have some. No? Okay. Wow, it is so clean. They did such a good job with this, because my code is not this clean. Okay, so yeah, let's take a look. Their entity class takes in the definition, which is defined in our entity defs, and this just initializes it at the default info. So the def.animations, go ahead and assign that entity default animations, the defined X, Y, all that good stuff, and then create animations. And this just does an animation object, okay. But then where do we go ahead and update those animations? We're updating it right here. If we have a current animation, go ahead and update it. Okay. Oh, geez. Okay. So I guess I'm curious about... We do a couple of things here, like this. What this is doing is cycling through all our entities. For I gets number of entities until 1, decrementing by 1. So that's doing a count, a downwards for loop. It's gonna say, yeah, what is this saying? This is giving us an entity so that we can check its health. So it's saying, hey, give us a variable called entity so we can just ask if entity health is smaller than 0. If that's the case, entity dead. If it's not dead, go ahead, process its AI, update its position. If it's not dead and it collides with the player, then go ahead and hurt the player. See, and this is really nice, because then as long as our room or scene in our case gets a reference to the player, and our player's an entity, we have entity to entity collision in our entity class. So we'd be able to just say, hey, if we collide with the entity, go ahead and damage us by 1, make us invulnerable for 1.5 seconds. And if our health was 0, then we're actually in a game over state. And then how do we render all the entities? We say for K entity and pair of our self entities. If we're not dead, go ahead and render them. That's pretty simple. Okay, I don't know how to make sure that this is working. Okay. God, I can't believe it's been 40 minutes already. Hey, Cream Pain, I guess my chat is just not updating in here. Sorry, let me try to get that fixed. I didn't see your message. Oh God, this is just... I really thought this was gonna work. You know what? Let me just go back to my old chat overlay, because that's working. Okay, there we go. I can see you now. Yeah, so Love2D is a great little open source engine. Yeah, my bad. But yeah, I've been really liking it. It's for free on YouTube, so at least the tutorial for something like this was for Harvard CS50 game dev. So that's how I learned everything I know about this engine. And then if you want to see our game real quick, let's see if we can switch to our game. We're doing a little Link's 2D, Link's Awakening, top-down kind of game, based on one of my favorite books. So far we've we've got some maps rendering and you can go from screen to screen, but we're trying to get this entity system working so that we can add a bunch of little butterflies or lizards or NPCs, all that good stuff. So that's what we're working on today. So I'm hoping we can get something, hoping that by the end of today we'll have something good going here. So right now I'm just looking through the code I've got as a reference, because this ended up helping us get our scene scrolling like this, so we were able to get that working with our game. But they do it differently. They basically just generate a random room every time. We have to keep track of specific rooms we're going to, because our map has like memory. They just, every time you go into a new room, it just becomes random. So it was different, but it definitely helped us out in figuring it out. But yeah, hey, thanks for checking out the stream. It's today's is a slog of a day. It's not as fun as the pixel art streams we were doing, but it's gonna be good once we get this done. Once we get, oh hey, thanks. Is that a follow sound? I appreciate that. I thought I had the notifications on there, but maybe not. You know what? I had the follow notification turned off on OBS, so we didn't get to see it. My bad. But oh, nice, cool. So what do you stream too? You do some what do you build games with in Lua if you don't do Love 2D? I'm kind of curious. Or Roblox, right? Yeah, this is definitely the way to do it. It is so clean that they've got this like this. We're gonna do something similar. Yeah, my bad, Cream Paint. I should have had the follow notification turned on. I haven't been able to even test that because I've just been not getting followers, so. Okay. Oh, nice. That's cool. Yeah, I've only heard of Gary's mod back when it was super popular. Okay. So we're gonna kind of mimic this. So like what we want to do is, I think we want to, if we split our TMUX session here, we can go switch over to, how do we do this? Can we switch? Okay, that's just splitting our pane. Okay, so what I want to do is close that, and what I want to do is switch our TMUX to our program, and then we're gonna split our window, and we're gonna go into the Zelda repo. Okay, so we're just gonna we're gonna kind of walk through and make sure we've got everything we need to do a similar entity system that they've got here. So the first thing we want to do is give us an animation class, because we don't have that at the moment. So let's give us an animation class, and we'll go into our classes and we'll make ourselves an animation class just like they do. So it's called animation.lua, and then in order for us to have it as a class, we go animation gets class, curly braces. Now we're going to need a couple functions. We're going to need an init function. And like this. Yeah. So you having a good day, Cream Pain, so far? Good weekend? Nice, yeah. Oh, you're gonna going to bed? Are you not in the U.S. or is it bedtime for you, or is it like you're just gonna go to bed early type of deal? Oh, shoot. Okay, well, I wish I'd be relaxing to you. I hope it's somewhat relaxing. I'll keep the vibes easy going so we can help you get relaxed. Oh, cool. I'm glad. Yeah, I'm excited. I've always wanted to get into game dev. So the past couple years, I've been kind of teaching myself. And I always felt that the best way to get stuff done is to kind of like, project-based learning. So I've just been deciding what type of games I want to make, and then I just sit there and try to get it done. So it's like they start out with Pong. So I learned how to make something like Pong, and then they did Flappy Bird, so I learned how to make Flappy Bird, and then they did a Mario clone, and then that's about the time where I branched off and just did my own programming. I made an arcade game called Joust, one of those 1980s arcade games. I made that in Love 2D, and if you want to see that, I can show you, but I did that, and then I finished that a couple weeks ago, and now I'm on a Link's Awakening game. Yeah, here I can show you. A Joust real quick. Let me go. I think there is a. Nope. There's another way to split a window here. We can go into our Joust repo here, and we can play Joust. So it's got 1 or 2 player mode, and it's just a little arcade game. And it's very tough, and I haven't been able to make it past maybe 3 or 4 waves, but it is super fun. So, and what I love that Love 2D is open source. So, it's super easy to download. It works on Windows, Mac, and Linux. And I post all my games up on my GitHub, so you'd be able to go to my GitHub, download this folder for Joust, and then you install Love 2D on your machine, and you just drag and drop the folder onto the shortcut, and then it'll run. Oh crap! See, look, I'm only on wave 2, and I'm almost dead already. And then wave 3 is where the platform retracts, so the fire comes out and the waves retract. And then if I don't collect the eggs, they hatch into little, I call them jockeys. I don't know what they're called in the real game, but I'll let an egg hatch so you could see. And then if you don't hit vultures long enough, a pterodactyl comes out and tries to kill you. See, look, so the vulture runs over there to pick up the jockey, and it just leveled up to the next level of vulture. And then those next levels they're faster, and they jump a little more erratically, and they're worth more points. I'm actually, I almost jinxed myself. I'm actually doing pretty good. I normally die at like wave 3. Okay. And then there's a lava troll down here too. If I hover down here by the fire, the lava troll will reach out its hand and grab me. Here, I'll show you that. See that? So he holds on to me there. Yeah, you know, so it was originally a arcade game by Williams Electronics in '82, I think, and then they did make a NES version. And then this is my remake of the NES version. So I just took the NES version. There's an emulator someone put on built in PHP online somewhere. And I used that as my sort of reference, and then I built this. It took me like 2 years to build this, but this was my first kind of bigger project. And it's got 25 waves. It's got high scores. It's got it remembers and saves your high scores, and then it's got a 2-player mode too. And I added that because of Ready Player One, the book. Because in Ready Player One, the copper key is hidden behind beating Anorak in a game of Joust. So I figured, like, I have to give this a 2-player mode. Oh, no. Die. Oh my god, okay. All those eggs just went straight to the lava. This is no joke the best I've done on my own game here. I've never made it to wave 7 by myself here. And you know what? I think I didn't take out. I have a button that kills. Oh god. Okay, last life. Okay, I've got a button that nukes everyone on screen. I wonder if I took that out for this. No, I didn't take it out. I can still cheat. I gotta take that out. So if someone downloads it to play, they can't just nuke everyone on screen like you can. If you happen to know pressing N nukes everybody on screen, then that's still in the game. So I've got to take that out. Oh shit, okay. Well, so there's that. Hey, thanks man. Yeah, this is, it was my biggest project for sure. So, hey, I made it second on the leaderboard. That's pretty good. Oh my god, I was just 3,000 away. I know. Well, I just accidentally told everybody about the nuke, and you know what? We can fix that. Let's fix that real quick. I think it's in our play state. Let's search for any N presses. Yep. So look, if N is pressed, we go ahead and nuke everybody. So I'm gonna leave that block of code in there, but comment it out. So we can turn it back on if we want, but we just killed it. So we can go ahead and add, we can say that we removed nuke button and git push it. So now if you download it at GitHub, findingfocus.dev, if you're interested in playing it or whatever. Now that nuke isn't in there, so that's cool. We'll just get rid of this now. So yeah, the new game is slowly coming along. I think it's been about 2 weeks building. I'm happy where we're at for 2 weeks. What is oh yeah, CV, yep. And that's basically, you know, my degree is in film, so I don't have a computer science degree, but I'm trying to get hired as a programmer, so I think it's nice that I can kind of point to these little projects I've built. So yeah, I agree with you. And then, you know, I've actually got a little demo of Love 2D on my website that I got working. It's a very simple demo, but it's playable in browser for the computer and for the cell phone. So I'm happy with that. Okay, so we're basically just kind of mimicking the animation class from the Zelda repo that we're looking at, mainly because we're going to be changing so many things in our code that it's going to be a pain to debug it. So I'm just basically just doing what they do to kind of ensure that it's going to work. And then if we want to do anything different, like I don't want this first line of code there. I don't want this looping thing, because anything we're going to be instantiating isn't going to be looping. So we can add that later if we need to, but what this line of code is doing is saying, you know, we're going to get the amount of frames we have in our self.frames, and as long as we have more than one, we're going to go ahead and increment our timer. And then if our timer is greater than the interval, we're going to go ahead, and this, I love how they do this here. They do it, they set the timer to be the current timer, but moduloed by the self interval. So if the timer is smaller than the interval, it'll just spit out whatever the timer is, but if it's past the interval, it'll reset the timer back to a number that's counting up, I guess. And then we're going to assign our current frame. And this is really smart how they do this too. This is really smart. They go, they set the current frame to be one of two values, the max of one of two values, either one or, and then they do the current frame plus one moduloed by the number of frames plus one. So this is the way that they loop the current frame. If it's past the amount of frames they have, it'll go back to the current frame. Otherwise, it'll just spit out the current frame, but plus one. So I guess that's the way of them incrementing it. Well, if it's one, yeah, let me think about what that does. Because they're adding the current frame, or they're saying current frame plus one, which would be the next frame. Okay, yeah, and they're only doing this if the timer is greater than the interval. So yeah, that is where they increment the frame. But if the frame increment would be bigger than the amount of frames we have, it would loop it to one with this function. So I think that's a really smart way they do it. I would do something much messier than that, but we're just trying to get our entity system working, and we can make it how we want to make it. You know, we can tweak it however we might need it to be once we've got it working. I normally try to build it from scratch, but the idea of an entity system is not something I've implemented before. So I'm just kind of trying what they do and make sure I'm understanding what I'm doing as I'm typing it, so that I'm not just, you know, mindlessly copying what they're doing. I'm trying to understand so that we can modify it with whatever we need, because our game is different than theirs. You know, we're doing separate maps for everything. They have like a random map generator. I don't know why they're counting the amount of times that it has played. I don't know why they're doing that, but it is useful in debugging, I guess. So I guess it makes sense. Okay. Okay, so then they've got a couple other functions that they write, and it's looking like they don't render here. What is my dream? What do you want to work with? You know, I'm an artist. I like making music, and I come from the video world, so I make a lot of videos and stuff. But I played The Witness, game by Jonathan Blow. And by the time I beat that game, something kind of clicked in my brain. And it kind of, basically it changed me from being convinced I was a filmmaker into, hey, I'm gonna be a game maker at that point. So like, I thought what I wanted in film was storytelling and expression through film, but after playing The Witness, I kind of decided like this gaming is the medium I want to work in, because it is so inherently different than filmmaking. It requires participation, right? It doesn't just ask for it. So the interactivity of games is what I'm really interested in. So I like to kind of describe it as just interactive art, because I feel like sometimes video games get a bad rap or some, connotation, but interactive art is what I'm interested in. So that's my dream. And the best way to kind of get better at it is to practice it. So I'm making these little games right now. Ultimately, I want to do more interactive experiences to kind of help people in any kind of way, like just to kind of broaden their mind or help them relax, do whatever. So I'm interested in making and curating experiences that just help people get in a different state of mind, and hopefully that helps them. That's what I'm interested in. I would love to, Jonathan Blow is my favorite programmer, because he made the game that kind of flipped that switch in my brain and showed me what was possible in this medium. So I would love to work with him, but he's so up there in terms of efficiency and skill that, like, I'm 40 years behind him. So I don't think I would ever have a chance to seriously work with him in my lifetime, because he's just got so many years on me. But yeah, in the meantime, I'm just going to be making my own little games, making my own little interactive art experiences. That's just the dream right now. And I'm trying to get a programming job so that I can do this stuff for work, so that I get practice. Because right now I'm just streaming, I'll do an hour or two after work. That's good, but it's not enough to really get good at what I'm doing here. So I'm hoping to get a programming job, so I spend a lot of my day actually programming some stuff. Hopefully it's creative programming stuff, so that I can stretch that, use that muscle of sitting down, debugging stuff, get all that practice, get paid to practice programming, and then I can come home and do what I'm doing still, but I'll just be progressing a lot faster because my work is actually in the field I'm interested in instead of what it is now. So that's the dream. It's gonna be, it's a little far off. Like I'm just trying to get what I can daily. I try to program daily, and that's good enough for me right now. So I'm just hoping in the future I can just up that 1 or 2 hours a day into maybe 5 or 6 hours a day with my job, so that I get more practice and I start making faster iterations of stuff, because it took me 2 years to make that Joust game, and I'm proud of that. But it's at the same time, if I want to make anything bigger than a little game. Hey, what I think Zelda line 45 would be self.current frame. The plus plus plus. I'm not sure if the plus plus works in Lua. I think you have to do the assignment, but let's see. In 45, line 45. Let me see if we can just look at this better. Yeah, okay. So yeah, you're saying current frame modulo by self frames. Yeah, for right now, I'm just gonna take them at their word. Their stuff does work. We're running it, so I know their example does work. I do want to eventually, once mine is working and not crashing, I'm gonna come in and do Yeah, Lua is one indexed. Yeah. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, exactly. It makes a lot. You're right. When it is in a zero index language, that line of code is easier to understand. But yeah, you're right. Thanks for chatting, first timer. I don't know how to say your name, Arkernston. But yeah, thanks for the chat. I am new to Twitch, but I'm really liking it. I streamed. I called it streamed, but I just recorded myself programming and I posted it on YouTube, almost like every day for like a year. So I had 300 recordings up on my YouTube channel, but I would call them streams. But just these past 2 weeks, I've been actually streaming on Twitch, and I've been really loving it. I don't know, but my best guess to get one of those positions that both artist knowledge and programming and VFX. Yeah, exactly. No, yeah, exactly. I mean, that is the dream, to get a job in the realm of something creative, making either. Yeah, like, I mean, and I own a video production company locally here. So I do know the VFX on some aspect. Like, you know, I was making lightsaber videos as a kid, and there is a lot of scripting you can do in After Effects to tweak some stuff. But it is really hard. It is really hard to find a job and get hired somewhere when it's not my degree. So I would love a creative job that I can do some scripting, and I do a little bit of Python because I feel like that is better for trying to get hired, but it's hard to get psyched about writing Python code. I get more psyched about making a little game like this, so I like that. No, you're good. Yeah, hey, don't worry about interrupting the train of thought. It's this day is a slog of a day, but chat's making it really fun. Oh, nice. Oh, okay. That's cool. So do you work, are you remote working VFX, or are you at like a VFX house that you work with some people? I do mainly just like local commercials for nonprofits in my town, or freelance editing is what that's my main deal. I am interested in VFX a lot though, so like, if you wanna dump what programs you do VFX in, or to share some of your work, feel free. So we've got our animation class made. It is a copy of the other animation class, but that's okay. Let's see what else they've got. We know we need a entity class too. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I love GitHub. When I figured out what GitHub was, I was very happy, because I come from the film world and I would do DIT all the time, which is just, you know, logging all the video files, keeping track of all the video files, and backing things up. So when I heard about Git, I was like, this is the coolest thing to exist. So I love using it. Okay. Okay, nice. So what's your favorite low-level program, or lower level? I really love C because I learned in C. That is my favorite. I don't do it as much because I'm trying to build projects and I don't have many project ideas I can build in C, but I really do. C to me makes so much sense, and I like how it was designed. So I'm still working through the ANSI C book and all the problem sets. I'm working through those, but I love that book and how that was written. So I do want to polish up on C some more. I just don't have many project ideas for it. Okay, so they've got a entity class here. Let's give us an entity class. Okay, nice. Yeah, I hear cool things about Rust. I haven't dived into it yet. And C++, I hear a lot of mixed things about. I know like it's very important, but I hear a lot of people are just sick of it. So I'm just trying to stick to the basics right now. I want to get good at, you know, the fundamentals, all the types and algorithms and data structures, learn all that stuff really well. And I feel like if I know C and data structures really well, then all that's left is just sitting there and making more complicated things as you get practice. Cool. Yeah, I'm excited because that programmer I was just talking about, John Blow, he's making a new programming language as a sort of successor or alternative to C++. So it's tailored towards game developers. So I'm really excited for that. So once that becomes public, I'm going to be probably streaming learning that, because that's ultimately what I really want to do is like be in a language that's designed for game programming. So I'm excited for that. Yeah, exactly. I love C. C makes me really happy. I do like C a lot. Thanks for hanging out and chatting, guys. I really appreciate this. This is really fun. I thought today was going to be a really boring slog, but this has been fun. Okay. Yeah, I mean, how do you do that with Python? Because there's no types in Python, right? Or it just kind of picks for you what the types are. So I'm kind of curious how you would do that. Oh, nice. Yeah. You know, I love Vim also. Vim and NeoVim has been really rewarding to start learning. I'm still super new at it, but it's just, I love it. I love it. I really don't like Windows, and I just love the programming environment Vim gives you. So I'm on Linux, Debian 12, and then I'm just running my NeoVim config, which I've built out probably 5 different times at this point. But I love NeoVim, or Vim in general. Let's take a look at this create animation function, because I'm curious how they do it. Now they've got, let's give us this function too. And I know, like, ultimately I am just copying a lot of this code, or most of this code. I could just copy and paste it, but one, I kind of want the muscle memory of actually typing in code like that. I'm like, I need to be able to find curly braces without looking at the keyboard. Like that's a good goal to have. I want the muscle memory of typing code, and as I type it, I can kind of walk through, make sure I'm understanding it. So now animations is the parameter we're passing into this create animations function. And okay. Yeah, I like Python. I wrote a couple scripts for work that help me do some simple stuff in Python, but I haven't built any GUIs with Python or anything more complicated than just like text manipulation for some files with Python. But I do like Python. We have a Python script that we use on this program to generate. It uses the Python imaging library to go draw the number of which sprites are on our sprite sheet. So we were doing that just yesterday on stream, I think, but we won't be doing it today because we're working on the entity system. Okay, so this create animation function takes in a list of animations. So the animations is what we just assigned right here. So our entity gets assigned the output of this function. And what we're doing is we are assigning these fields to be animation def texture. And then this is, I think the or entities is a way of saying if there's no texture, just give us the default entities texture. I think that's what that is. And then animation def. And I don't know if they're using def as defined, like, or as definition or something else, but the looping through tables in Lua here, it's, you know, for a key value in pairs animations. So that's how you loop through a table. So it'll say, you know, animations is a table. So for every animation that's in there, and then we'll have access to each value via this keyword here. So we're setting the frames from the animation def into our animations return table. So we're basically just pulling out these values and putting it into a table. I am a beginner programmer, so I've been teaching myself about 3 years now or so, but I definitely don't know what I'm doing. So if someone knows, you know, feel free to call me out, because I'm a beginner, and it won't hurt my feelings. You guys have better ways of doing things. Entities is a string. Guessing animation def texture is a texture name. I believe it is when they initialize it. Let's take a look at it. We've got, oh God. We've got in the entity defs, the texture here is actually it's a drawable as far as, yeah. So it is a texture name. It's just whatever love.graphics new image gets assigned to be. Yeah, thanks, Cream Paint. I appreciate that. Yeah, and you know, that's kind of been my whole thing. I thought hands down for sure I was going to be in the movie industry my whole life. And then I work in the movie industry, and then I learned that wasn't what I liked about it. You know, I liked the creativity, I liked the community, but it's okay for that to change, you know. I thought for sure I was going to be, I got my degree in film, and I thought ever since I was like 8, I was going to be making movies for the rest of my life. And it's okay that I've got different dreams now. And if programming turns out to not pan out, or I don't end up liking it anymore, that's okay too. I might lean more into more music, which is one reason I love game development too, is because I can make music part of my games. I can make videos for my games. I can make art. I can do all the logic. I really think, yeah. So Cream Paint. So what are your kind of goals? Are you happy where you're at? What are your next steps, or what you think you might be doing? Okay, yeah, I mean, everybody, right? It's nice though to be happy where you're at. That's definitely nice, because that allows the space for you to kind of choose if you want to start dipping your toes in other places, or to just relax, get a breather, or whatever you want to do. So that's a good place to be. we go to the entity class here, not that. Okay. So the last thing we got to do here is return the animations here. So yeah, let's take a look at what this is actually doing. So if we return this table that we're doing, it's looping through. We're going to pass in a parameter called animations, which is whatever entity defined our animations, which have three things. It has a texture, a frame, and something else, an interval. And then we're going to just go ahead and we assign those values into our animation class. And I've never done this before. I almost always instantiate the classes with parentheses, and I don't ever index into them and manually assign them as a table like this. Programming is nice because it can help you in small ways, more or less. Same with text-heavy workflows with a good editor and version control. Yeah, man. Yeah, see, and I like that. Like my idols in programming are really hardcore, low-level nerds. So like, I like to look at what they do and try to mimic them. So like, I tried doing Emacs. I couldn't quite get into it, but I saw Vim and NeoVim, and I thought I can get down with that. And then Git is just so, like, it makes so much sense to me that Git is a thing and that people would use it. I really love it. I had a bunch of stuff I wanted. I realized what I actually wanted. I'm currently sated with what I have. Hey man, that is so great. I'm really happy for you. That is really awesome. I'm happy too. I'm not where I want to be in terms of career right now, but it's okay that I'm kind of finding my way. You know, I didn't find programming. I wish someone would have sat me down and told me what programming really was and kind of showed me what it was at a younger age, because I would have really took to it younger, I think, if I would have been exposed to it, but I just wasn't exposed to it until maybe 4 years ago. And then I started really getting into it. Perforce as version control in big corpo games. I've never heard of it, but that's cool. Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to work at a game studio. I kind of think I just wanted a standard, like, get me a Python programming job where I can build useful things, and then in the meantime I come home to Twitch and I just make my games on stream it. So that's kind of, because I feel like if I work in the game industry, it's going to be a higher chance of burning out on making games, and I don't want to lose the fire I have for making interactive art. I really do just want to make good things. Okay, so I know how to do AABB collision. They do it. We won't just copy this one. We'll change it a little bit because I want the true ABB collision. They have it based on, I think they said they have a little bit of a buffer. They say AABB with slight shrinkage. Target width, target X, target Y. I guess I don't see where the slight shrinkage is in there. But, and then they're returning the opposite of whatever this is doing. Okay, well, that is a smarter way than I was going to do it, but let's see if we can just do it by ourselves here. We know, let's see here. We know that a collision would happen. I like to kind of imagine it how I know a collision won't happen. So like we need a reference to whatever our entity's X is, and then the target to check if we're colliding with. So we're going to see if our left side is if our left side is greater than the target X plus the target width, we know it can't be a collision. And then, so how do they, you know what, the way they do it is really smart. We'll probably end up, because And one thing I'm trying to figure out in Lua is how to not just nest so many if conditions. I don't like this. Like we know if our left side is bigger than the right side of our target, we're good, but we'd have to also have our x. Let's go our x plus our self dot width. So the right side of us would have to be smaller than the left side of the target for there to be no collision. And our top of us would have to be greater than the bottom of the target. So target y dot plus target width. And the bottom of us plus our height would have to be smaller than the top of our target. So we can say this like return false if all those are true, then this function returns false. Now, we would return true otherwise, because this guarantees no collision. It's like every case other than the collision case. So games industry uses perforce because it's better handling random data than get. Data should be separate to code, but the game industry disagrees. Yeah, so you know what? I was thinking about that too. I think it's just since we have so many. I think it's a way to call it. It's like we want to be able to define an entity as its animation getting this function. So like it does kind of just return a copy of everything that we pass it in, but it just makes the init so much cleaner to have it defined out over here. I think that's kind of the idea, because when I look through their code, it's so clean and pristine, totally different than my code. I'm trying to learn some lessons from them and try to kind of pick apart what makes better code decisions. I'm still learning though, so I really don't know. Let's say we've got our entity collision working. We don't need the damage function or anything like that. We do need the ability to change the state and change the animation state. So we'll add that, then we'll add our update as well. So this is since I am so new to programming and everything, it's been kind of nerve-wracking for me to try to go live here, but I appreciate you guys being nice to me. It's really nice. I just have fun. You know, I feel like I get more stuff done if I'm recording myself, because I can't just go on my phone or anything because I've got people watching. So we'll be writing here our entity change state. And programming is so hard, like I'll hit a roadblock and then I'll just Google something and then I'm on my phone already, and then I'll just keep being on my phone and trying to make things, and it's tough. But if I'm kind of glued to the screen here, I feel like I'm more productive. So the state machine actually handles the animation as well, which I've never done before. I normally only just change the state machine to have to render different things, but well, I guess that's exactly what they're doing, so it's the same thing basically. So we're going to change the current animation of our entity instantiation to be the name of the animation in our field. So our animation is in an animation class instantiation, and we're setting our current animation to be equal to whatever we're changing our animation to. So we have a function and we just say change animation to walk or whatever. And then since animation, the instantiation has a name called walk, and it has a texture and an interval and a frames, as long as we update that animation, if we are in the walk animation state, it should render those frames. So this is a good way to do it. Let's take a look at how we currently do it, which isn't so pretty. Let's just see. We just do it in our player class. We're handling yeah, look at how gross ours is. We literally just manually assign what direction we're walking based on input. And then if we have multiple inputs, we do the same thing. It's so gross. You guys ever get embarrassed looking at what you wrote? Yeah, I'm interested in checking out some Perforce stuff, so I'll look into that a bit. I do love Git, but I'm open to new tools also. Okay. See, in this, I knew today was going to be so tough because, oh god, it's so gross. Yeah, the state machine is definitely the way to handle this. Look at how gross all these manual assignments are. But ultimately, we'd be getting rid, if we finish our state machine today, or our entity system today, we have to gut all of this. See, and then look at, we've got all the animations. See, so like this is what happens when we don't copy and paste from CS50. We can get it working, and it does work. It's just not very scalable. It's not very pretty. But I do know how to do it. We are doing it, but seeing a good example of it being done is definitely very beneficial. Yeah, exactly. Like it's only an indicator of how far you've come and your progress. My camera's a little dark now that the sun is setting. Let me just adjust the camera a bit here. That looking better. Can I save it? Oh no. Oh no. Oh great. Maybe I shouldn't do this when we're streaming. Oh no. What is going on? I mean, are we live? It looks like I'm live on Twitch, but my computer is just totally frozen, so shit. Maybe I shouldn't be. Oh, here we go. Okay. We might be back. Okay. Cool. So yeah, so our code is disgusting, but doesn't mean you can't be proud of it. Proud of a disgusting little thing. And then look at what we're doing for rendering us. Yeah, we literally render based on the frame. Oh god. Yeah. Yep. And then we're flipping the image and then offsetting it for the mirrored image. Yeah, so we can be doing this a lot better. One thing we might have to do is in our animation class, we might have to double up on those animations in our player texture. because I don't know if there's a way to manually assign a frame with a -1 on the X scale and an offset for the draw. So we might have to just, instead of doing it where we're manually flipping the same sprite and then offsetting it so it's in the same spot, we might have to just flip it in our ASprite sprite sheet and just put it on there. Because I don't know if there's a way to put this specific draw scale and offset in our animation class. I guess we can figure it out, I'm sure. I guess it just comes down to what we really want to do. Let's see where we're at here in our entity state. We've got to go through our entity update. So let's go ahead. Oh God, I did it again. I switched. Does anyone happen to know how to switch windows on Tmux? I've been trying to figure this out. I couldn't find it on the Tmux cheat sheet I've got. I know how to do that. Okay, I guess, well no, that's the same spot. God damn it. Okay, I don't know. I'm new to Tmux too. I just see smarter people than me use it, so I just try to give it a shot. Okay. So we're gonna be doing this entity update. So let's go back to our entity. We don't have it harpooned here. Yeah, we do. Okay, cool. So it's after our collision, after our change animation. Then we're going to give ourselves the entity update. Okay, so we've got... we don't have an invulnerable stuff, so we won't worry about that just yet. We do want to update our state machine. And one thing I get confused about looking at their code is how exactly they're handling the state machines. Like, if I guess since our self-state machine, if we look at what that is, oh God, I didn't mean that. I meant this self.state machine. Yeah, so our self-state machine gets assigned to whatever we are currently changed into, so then we just update that state machine. Okay, that makes sense. We just are updating the state machine we're in. And I don't think we're gonna give ourselves this process AI just yet. We might do something similar. I think we're gonna just kind of manually define in our entity definitions a couple of different things. Like if we give ourselves a butterfly, we would just give its X position a little updated value so it can kind of just go in a square. So we'll worry about that when we get to it, but updating our state machine, and then we need to render our state machine. So yeah, and then for the we render based on this adjacent offset X and adjacent offset Y, because when a new map is coming on, it might be prefix Control O to oh my gosh, that's it. Yo, thanks man. I've been looking for that. I appreciate that. Yeah, I've been looking for that. Thanks for that tip. I appreciate you, dude. I don't know how to say your name. I'm sorry. Arkenstone? Yeah. I appreciate that, dude. That's been driving me crazy. And I tried Googling it. I couldn't word it correctly though, so it just kept not giving me what I wanted. And that makes sense why I accidentally do it, because I use prefix just O to swap my active window. So that's why I was doing it on accident, because I was doing instead of prefix control O, I was doing just prefix O, and I was accidentally holding control. So that makes a lot of sense. I've been trying to get better at touch typing. I've been trying to practice that. It's one thing I wish I would have taken more seriously in school is like actually practicing typing in computer lab instead of playing video games. Oh man, what were some of the? There's some video games you guys remember from playing online back in the day you guys liked? I mean, I'm sure there's a ton, but like there was this specific one on the computers at school. I don't know the name of it, but you would like hike up a snowy mountain, and then there was like some little mini games and stuff. I don't remember what that thing was. We're not going to do this in vulnerable render. We're just going to set. And this is another... I like how they can set multiple variables like this. You just do a comma and then an assignment. And then you can assign 2 different variables in one line. I like that. It's something I've never done on my own. But seeing someone use it in code and then actually manually typing it out helps kind of put in my muscle memory that's available to do. So then it's going to be our self y plus our adjacent offset y or 0. It's like we don't modify our adjacent offset if it doesn't exist, I guess, if it's null or nil. Oh, nice. Hey, Cream Pain. Yeah, good for you. Good for you. Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of tmux that you can just detach, right? And then go do something and then come right back. Like, I love that idea. I don't know of a way that I can kind of persist these sessions over like shutting my computer down or anything. I haven't figured that out yet, but I really love the idea behind tmux. So I think it's cool. And I used to do daily drawings on Instagram every day, and I would write the date on there. So I like the idea of putting the date and time, right here, wherever this is. I like putting the date and time on there because I upload all these to YouTube, and then I can kind of just go through, look at my backlog, and see. Sessions persist if your SSH session explodes. Yeah, so I know what SSH is. I've just never done it. Like, I'm not doing. I guess I don't know what SSH is. I think of SSH of when I would jailbreak my iPods and we would connect. I'd go into the iPod's files through SSH or whatever. I guess I want to learn more about that now. Okay, yeah, we got that. Then we're gonna render. So Cream Paint, do you use Vim, or what's your text editor of choice? Okay, see, yeah, nice. See, I like people that use Emacs. I don't use Emacs, but I like people that use Emacs. I respect that. Oh yeah, you're good. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely a noob at this stuff, but I know, like, I definitely tried Emacs, and I was like, I cannot handle this right now. I tried it as like I tried it before I tried Sublime Text, you know? So I was not ready for it. I think if I go try to revisit it now, I'd have a little bit better luck, but it was not for me at the time. Yeah, because like I look at my favorite programmers and they're all in Emacs, so I'm like, Emacs is where it's up. Hey, cool, yeah. Yeah, see, like, I mean, I'm team coders, so it's like, I just want people to be happy making stuff. No superiority complex over here. So, I guess all this is doing here is we pass in our adjacent offset X and Y to our entity render, and we just update our entity's positions based on that adjacent offset if it exists. That's all this is doing. I guess, and this, I guess I'm a little curious why we're setting the color. Why would we be setting the color and then only modifying the X position? Like, wouldn't that set color not do anything beneficial here? Or to set color before we render the state? Shouldn't that be the case? So I guess they're setting their color to a kind of transparent, because if they get hit, if they're not invulnerable, they flash, and then they update their entities X and Y based on the adjacent offset. Then they render their state machine, and then they see. I guess I don't get why they're subtracting. It's like they modify based on the adjacent offset X, then they render it, and then they go ahead and then undo that action, which is just to reset their entity's position. And that's just a way so that their entities can render on screen once it's transitioning, pulling the next screen on, so that they're only temporarily changing the X and Y position, and then they render it so that it looks to be the correct position, and then they go and take it to they undo that essentially, because they're subtracting it here. That's literally what we were trying to do yesterday with our game, is our animation sprites weren't rendering once that scene transition hit. We weren't rendering anything. So we got a little fix for it, which is we just rendered the default frame on our map declarations before we go ahead and or as we initiate that scene transition. So we figured out a fix for it, but it's cool to see that they kind of have a fix for that kind of same idea here. I didn't think about doing this, or I'm not sure I'm understanding that completely correctly, but that's what it seems like to me. Let's see what else we've got here. So that's our whole entity. So we've got our animation class and an entity class. Now we do need an entity defs, which we don't have at the moment. So let's go ahead and give us that. We'll call it the same thing, entity defs, and it's a .lua, and it is just a global table called entity defs. So what's cool about this is once we get this assigned, then all we have to do is we would type in entity def at the index of whatever player or whatever entity we're at, and then we have access to all of the things we need, which is we can pass in the .animation so that our animation class can render and update our animations. And we also have access to our, all that stuff. Let's see what other types of things are stored in the player. It's got a lot of animations. It's got a lot of animations, and that's about it. So it's not really updating. It's not holding a reference to any particular instantiations X and Y, but it is holding a reference to any definitions that need to be throughout all instantiations of the entity. So I think that makes sense. So let's give us a player entity. And see, my touch typing for all of the programmer buttons is just difficult. So like I'm trying to find those curly braces without looking at the keyboard, and those are harder. I gotta practice more of those. We don't have a player walk speed. We can go ahead and give us, actually we have it is called what? It's just called velocity or something. I think it's just velocity. So we can go ahead and add a player walk speed. Oh God. Okay. We'll set it to the same thing. But yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm still learning Vim. I'm not the best at it, but I do like using it, and I can feel the power of it. I'm just trying to get better. Okay, and then we're holding a... See, and I've never... It's really handy to define all of our data like this. It's really cool. We don't have these defined anywhere, so we have to make sure... I mean, this is where we define it, but we don't actually change our animation to any of these terms here. We do it in the ghetto way, like I showed a couple minutes back, but this is going to be really cool. Now, we can go ahead and check what our walk left frames are. If we go to our player class, we can search for any walk left that we have, and we didn't comment it, so... Oh, is it walking left? Down left, left tall, and left small. So those are the frames. Left tall is 5, left small is 6. So let's put 5 and 6 in our entity defs for now. We do not have it harpooned because we didn't do that, but let's go ahead and do that now. So 5 and 6 are our frames for walking left, but there also are frames for walking right. They're just not... Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, we shouldn't be arguing about what text editor we're doing. It's like, it's just a tool. It's like complaining about what pen you use to write your notes in. It's like, whatever, dude. It doesn't matter. Okay, interval, maybe we'll put 0.5 in there for now. I don't know. Texture. Texture is gonna get, and I guess, so our textures we save in a variable, so I think we could just say that our texture is the, oh no, Koboth is our player instantiation, so I guess our texture would be, let's see, in our main. I guess it is Koboth. But the texture, they just pass in the string character walk, or I guess it's not a string, it's a... I guess it is a string. I don't know the difference between single quotes and double quotes in Lua here, but... Let's see in their main if they do... How they save their drawables. Oh, well, no. Their drawables are in what? Graphics. Character walk. Okay, so they can... they literally just say character walk in single quotes, and it knows. Oh well, it knows. It knows that that's what they're talking about. And I messed up by not even watching the video for this. I didn't watch the complete video for drawing this dungeon, so I probably should have done that. Because I mean, they have great tutorials. I love all of what Harvard puts out on YouTube. I don't know why I didn't just watch the Zelda one. I got the Flappy Bird and was like, I want to make Joust, and then I spent 2 years making Joust. Okay, it looks like they literally just call it the string, but I'm looking if they do, if in their entities that they're requiring, they're not requiring that. So I guess in their dependencies, they require their animation first and foremost, but they're not. I don't know how they're able to reference that. For now, we'll just do our drawable, which is Kavoth. But I want to make sure that what is our player instantiation called then? In our play state, we've got don't we have a Kavoth? Oh, see, I guess that's not a good thing. Our Kavoth. Okay, see, I don't like that we do this. Our player instantiation is named Kavoth, but so is our drawable. So maybe we change that. And then I guess that would mean we'd have to change in our scene render to not draw. See, I'm trying to see where our Kavoth is being rendered. I thought it was in our scene class, but maybe it's in our. It's not in our play state. It wouldn't be in our map. Okay. So the Kavoth Atlas is there. We render it just here as the quads. Okay, so the self.atlas. So wherever we assign this atlas here. Okay, so this is what I was looking for. We want to just say we want to just give this a different number, a different value, different name than our player instantiation. So we're just going to call it Kavoth sprite sheet. And then in our main, we're going to go ahead and make sure that this is actually called Kavoth sprite sheet. And then we should still render fine. Yeah, we should still not crash. And then, okay. So I just didn't like that our player instantiation had the same name as our drawable. So yeah. See, I'm with you, Cream Pain. I feel the same way. I'd rather just talk about cool things, nice things that people are building or working on instead of trying to tear people down. Yeah. Yeah, it's fun to nerd out on this stuff. And then, you know, it's fine. If some people don't like it, and that's fine. I won't nerd out to people who don't appreciate it or care. Okay, we're doing good. We've got an animation class, an entity class. The tricky part is we have to understand how the game is calling these things and in what order and how they're updating all these things, and we have to make sure we've got the correct values, because it's like if our animation we're trying to change doesn't have a legal frame in it, then it would crash. So all those little things are going to be tough, but let us go ahead and finish this. This is now a both sprite sheet. I'm gonna see if the game crashes, and it doesn't, just because sometimes if I try to, I know a lot of things are, or everything is kind of global in Lua unless locally defined, but I just wanted to make sure that that wouldn't crash on us. Okay, and then we've got a whole bunch of different animations. So we've got a walk right. See, and stuff like that's why I love Vim. Well, and then I overwrite my buffer by deleting something, and then I'm like, Vim, why? But I know I've got a, is it leader yank and then a leader paste so that it doesn't overwrite my when I delete something, it doesn't overwrite my buffer there. So I just don't use that as often as I should, but I will get used to it. Okay, so let's and you know what, the we could define this texture. We could define this texture up here and omit it from all the other things, but eventually in the game we want to have a different, potentially a different sprite sheet. So like if we have, once we unlock certain moves, you know, he might be on a different sprite sheet because his hands are up in the air because he's casting spells or something. And if he's holding like a torch or something, that might be a different sprite sheet, or it's up to us how we want to kind of organize that, but I think it makes sense for now to just manually assign the texture instead of just every animation setting it. Well, I guess, yeah, and I guess we have to give the animation a texture anyway, because that's how the animation class knows what to render. So I guess we can't even do that anyway. Let's see here. We want to see what our frames are for walking right, up, and down. So let's go ahead and hop over to our player, and we'll hop down here. Now, down and down is 1 and 2. So let's go ahead, and 1 and 2 is down. 3 and 4 is up. So 1 and 2 is down. 1 and 2 is down, 3 and 4 is up. And what is right? Here we go. Right is 4. No, upright step. Right, tall and small is 7 and 8. So we've got 7 and 8 for our walk right. Now, and the tricky thing is, this is like, what we're doing here. Hey, Cream Pain, I appreciate you watching. Yeah, I hope you get some good rest and can relax. Yeah, I'll be here, man. I try to stream every day, so thanks for the follow. I really appreciate it. Have a good night. We're going to be doing, if we take a look at our player class, we actually do something with, see how we manually assign these quads for our atlas, and then the left and right is the same quad. See, and we do, it's silly that we did this. Like we gave ourselves 2 quads called this that are the same thing, just giving them different names. And then when we were down here, we just used those names and then drew them at a -x on the scale with the x offset there. So the frames that we're giving it, we don't give us these frames. Let's see, we modify these frames based on our animation, which our entity system isn't going to have the same. It's going to have a current frame, right? But our frames here, we're rendering the flipped one based on what frame number it is. And right now our entity system doesn't have a way to render things in a different way like that, in a negative X scaled way. So we need to tackle that. And let's see, it is 7. I've had a good day today. I might wrap it up here. Because I'm just getting tired. Getting hard to focus, but let's see. Let's leave us a note here on our walking left and right, and we're gonna say like we need to add these direction sprites to the atlas, because our animation class is just going to take what number of quad to index to spit out the frame, and it's not gonna handle like we're currently handling it, where we pass in the negative X scale. So we just need to redo our sprite to have a walk left and a walk right, even though they're mirrored. It's okay though. And then we'll be good. So this won't work just yet. And that's another reason I'm gonna call it quits here soon, is just that this is a big thing to tackle, and a lot of things are gonna break, and I'm at the point where we've already been streaming 2 hours, and once I hit that pressure, that difficulty, it's gonna be really hard to make useful progress. So we get a lot of our stuff done now, and then we can tackle it tomorrow with a fresh brain and get a lot more done. I'll try to figure out the new chat. I had a colored chat on here that was working, and then I just couldn't figure it out. See, like I've got that chat on there. That's colored, but it's not loading the current chat for some reason. So I don't know why it was doing that. So I'll try to, I don't know, and then I don't know how to test that because I'm streaming, or when I'm not streaming, it's hard to test it. But we're doing good. I appreciate anyone watching. I am new to Twitch. I'm trying to get to affiliate so I can have VODs on for longer. So if you're watching the stream and you like it, consider giving me a follow. I'd appreciate it. Let's see. Now we do want ultimately, I want like a butterfly or a gecko in the game. So we can give us a little gecko entity, right? So we can say gecko, and that is going to get a table of a couple of different things. It needs at least animations to run, and the animations is going to be how we instantiate the animation object, and that means it needs a set of frames, which is TBD because we don't have any frames yet, so we can just say maybe 1, 2, 3. And then it needs an interval for the speed at which it's going to change. Just give it a 0.5. We need a texture, and the texture is going to be something TBD. And then that just gives us a way to give us multiple geckos. So it's like if we walk into a desert, maybe there's, every row there's a 1% chance to spawn a gecko, or whatever we want to do. Then we can have each gecko have all the same animations, so that should be fun. I'm going to take a look at how they populate the entities and everything, so that we can kind of wrap our heads around it before we call it a night here. because we've got the boilerplate code for all this working, but I just want to wrap my head around how they actually use it so that we can see what we're gonna have to do tomorrow. I know they do a generate entities. I guess I can just search for the entities and see texture entities here. So in the room, they update. Okay, no. This is just checking to see if each entity has anything done to it. We want to see where they instantiate the entities, which is where, right here. Well, yeah, it's right here. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna want to do something similar. So they give themselves a table of all the different types. They save a variable for a random type so that they can instantiate into their animation table in entity def. So the entity def, given the type, goes into what we just typed over there. So like if we say gecko right there in the type and dot animations, then we make that entity's animations get all of the values that it needs to update and render those frames at that interval, at that texture. So we would need a table, right? We need a table of entities to insert all these into. They're doing it here. Don't they just say, they just give themselves an empty table and then they go ahead and generate their entities. Now we don't have the room class. What we have is a scene, is what we're calling it. We've got a map and a scene. And the map is a, let's take a look at the map and see. We'll go back into our project and we'll go take a look at our map class. Our map is just how we're rendering all the tiles. And our map is also keeping track of the adjacent X, all that offset stuff. It's also holding the insert animation function that we wrote yesterday to insert the animations into the current map. But our scene is what holds a reference to both the current map and the next map, so it knows how to draw them both on and off the screen. Okay, so it's very simple. It's very simple. Like I'm not too worried about it. Like I know there's more to it than just populating the entities, because then you have to update the entities and then you have to render them. They're doing it here. Let's see. They're doing it. Where they update? They update the entities there if they're not dead. And then when they go to render, they do the same thing for K entity in our entities. If they're not dead, go ahead and render them at the adjacent X offset. It's really simple. Okay, we should be good to start diving in tomorrow, because the thing is we have to undo all of our crappy logic here. So like all of our logic for walking and turning and multiple input handling, all of that stuff needs to be rehauled into our entity system. So that's going to take us a long time to kind of figure out. And our normalizing vector for directional inputs, or for diagonal inputs. Okay. So yeah, tomorrow we're going to hop into the entity system more, actually implementing it instead of just defining it. But at least today gave us the animation class we're going to be used to render our entities, the entity defs, which has all the info we need to pass to our animation class, and we've got an entity class that keeps track of the direction the entity's facing, the animation that it needs to render, that entity's collision detection, and a state machine for that entity to change for like walking left or walking right. The actual animation update. Well, yeah, we're updating the state machine, so I think we update. I want to see where we're updating our animation. Let's see, because I guess it just depends on what state we're in. So like, whatever state we're in is going to be rendering a certain frame. So our animation class is going to handle that. I think that makes sense here. Now, let's take a look at our git diff and just see some stuff we did. We renamed our atlas so it wasn't the same name as our player instantiation. We made our keylogger fit a little more flush on the bottom there. That's all that same change. Oh, we've got to add everything. Now if we get diff, it should show. Oh, maybe I just messed up. Well, I couldn't check all that, but we've got all our new files. So we gave ourselves the animation class, the entity class. We updated our player class, defined our entities, did a couple tweaks to our constants and main. Okay, let's try it. Git diff cached. Oh, nice. Oh, awesome, man. Hey, thanks. Yeah, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. That's super helpful. So yeah, our whole entity class, our whole animation class. We define our entities. Yep. Cool. Now we should have added some notes into our note page here. Oops. We do want to do, we want to add left and right sprites to our player class. And we want to ideally we would just love to get entities inserted into our scene, like a gecko, like literally just say draw gecko on scene. That would be cool. And then at that point, we need to test these entity systems, so it's gonna be a lot. But tomorrow we should get a good hit on that. I'm just gonna say. Okay, sweet. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. I had a ton of fun today. I thought today was going to be a big slog, but I actually had a lot of fun. I try to stream every night, normally close to 7. I got a little ahead of it today because I knew it was going to be a lot to kind of work on. But I'll catch you guys tomorrow, and we'll get more implementation aspects done on our entity system there. But thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I'll catch you guys tomorrow.